I want us now to talk about something else that is happening in the country, and that is the reconstitution of IEBC. Already some 4 institutions have recommended who should be representing them in the selection panel. We'll be looking at those names from the Political Parties Liaison Committee, from the Law Society of Kenya, and from the Interreligious Council of Kenya. But first, Raila Odinga, the leader of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, is already opposed to the process. We have heard from the parliamentary leadership of Azimio that they are going to keep off from this process. Watch what Raila says.
Kenya Kwanza regime is hell-bent on proceeding to unilaterally and single-handedly reconstitute the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. This comes against the backdrop of the earlier illegal forcing out of 4 commissioners who disagreed with Mr. Fuller Chebukati over the presidential election results. A biased and partisan IEBC is being put in place.
Okay, all right. Let me begin with you, Honorable Boss. Do you now have a name or names from the Parliamentary Service Commission that you know of, or from the Public Service Commission?
Yeah, I don't know the names, but I know that the institutions provide the names. And I just want to comment on what has been said by the Azimio party leader. Mm-hmm. I think it's incorrect. I don't know, there are some lawyers standing next to him, and I thought they would be able to correct him. He has said that Kenya Kwanza wants to single-handedly pick the selection panel. Actually, the selection panel constitution is in the law, and Daniel Maanzo knows that for a fact. Isn't that true?
Just
it
carry
is
on.
In the law. No, he was my student. Unless I want to confirm if he still reads the same law I taught him. Yes. So it is. The law says that the selection panel shall be appointed upon the nomination of the names by the following institutions. So there is the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Public Service Commission, there is the religious bodies, the Law Society of Kenya, and so on and so forth. So it is not even. For me, I do not know who the Parliamentary Service Commission is even sending. Because as a lawyer, all I know is as provided the Parliamentary Service Commission is given the slots to nominate as required. Provided Law Society gives a name and so on. So that is the law. It is not anybody single-handedly. The president has no power whatsoever. Neither does any other persons in Kenya Kwanza, including myself. Yes, I'm the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, and I don't even know as this morning, unless maybe I'll go and find out later, who's being put in there. So that is incorrect. The law is, there is a law that says where the names should come from, which bodies shall nominate the names. The other thing is the statement that the commissioners were forced out of office. They resigned by their own hand. Okay, and when Parliament approved the motion for establishment of a of recommending to the President establishment of a tribunal to investigate the allegations against these commissioners, again, that is within the law. That is the correct manner of removing commissioners, or for questioning and interrogating their integrity and their continued stay as members of an independent commission. And not just the commissioners. It can happen to any other commissioners from any independent commission. That is the law. The method of Raila Odinga of going to the streets outside anniversary towers and throwing stones and exchanging tear gas with the police and causing mayhem in the streets and getting shops to be shut, that is not the legitimate way of removing commissioners from office. If he feels, right now, the law is being followed in the appointment of the commissioners. When the selection panel shall start its job, there shall be an opportunity for any member of the public to write a memorandum to the selection panel to say why they find those people not suitable, those candidates not suitable to become members. So we have a chance to interrogate. It's not fully in the hands of the selection panel. If you bring sufficient evidence, that person will not be considered by the selection panel. And also, you are allowed to appear before the selection panel and give evidence as to why this person is not suitable to be a candidate for position of commissioner or chairperson of the Electoral Commission. And if the person is eventually appointed and you do find that there is evidence to that effect, again, you can use the method of going to petitioning Parliament to have them removed through a tribunal. So there is the law. Let us follow the law. He has the right to hold his opinion and his views, but provided all we are asking is let us follow the law. Kenya is not a banana republic. We have a law. You do not take the law into your hands. And I always say, as a leader, you either choose to be part of the problem or part of the solution. And being part of the solution is using the Constitution of Kenya, which you're obligated under Article 3 of the Constitution. Every person is obligated to uphold, defend, and protect the Constitution of Kenya, including you, Sam Katiku.
Indeed. Gituku, not Katiku.
Gituku. Okay.
All right.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work.
Just hold on, Senator. So the Political Parties Liaison Committee settled on James Misati, who is the chairperson of that committee, but is also from PPK, People's Progressive Party of Kenya. Progressive Party of Kenya. Then Benson Ngugi Njeri, who is an advocate, is the nominee from the Law Society of Kenya. Reverend Nelson Makanda is the General Secretary of VAK, Evangelical Association of Kenya, nominated by Interreligious Council of Kenya, as well as Fatma Saman from NAMLEF, also nominated by IRCK. The Public Service Commission is to pick one, and the Parliamentary Service Commission is to pick two. What is the real position? Because we've seen a lot of statements, either from the parliamentary leadership or from your leadership in the coalition, that you're not going to take part, but also Raila Odinga saying that this is a unilateral process. What is the position of yourselves in Parliament on what should be the process?
Well, first, I wanted to respond to what my senior said. First and foremost, there is a law. But the implementation of the law is where the trick is. You know, this is politics, really. And from, you know, there are people who can be appointed, and we obviously know what is their political persuasion. So if it is Law Society of Kenya, you may find the person who have arrived at their political position is already known. And similarly with all those bodies, the interreligious Council, you realize the person.
The names I've read.
Yeah. You realize
persuasion.
Yeah, you realize that. Yeah, obviously all of them. You know their political persuasions. Everyone knows
which one is
what is Manzo's political persuasion and what is
you. You know the political persuasion of the names I've just read.
Yes. So you obviously know.
Which is?
Which is Kenya Kwanza. So including the commissions, you will find that the person coming from a commission, even if it is Parliamentary Service Commission, who is influencing that, it is the Speaker and the rest of the membership. And they will arrive at people whose political persuasion is also known.
But you have a role to make sure that doesn't happen.
And he can object, by the way.
Well, even if you object, you may not have the numbers finally to do so. And even if you write, the way she say, you say, I'm objecting to this person for ABCD reasons, it may be overruled. So finally, there is only one appointee.
Maybe, but it hasn't been.
Chances are high that from the way it is set up and from the political persuasions, then there is only one person appointing this team, the president.
Let me ask you, the chairperson of PPLC comes from the Progressive Party of Kenya. How is that Kenya Kwanza?
You know that party is not with Azimio. You know that party is part of Kenya Kwanza.
How do you know
associations. From the political statements they make, that's a political party.
That is possible.
And political parties have already said where they support.
Sorry?
Progressive Party of Kenya, is it part of Kenya Kwanza?
It is.
Is it? I don't know.
It is now the only two parties left in Azimio, ODM and Wiper. Every other party is in Kenya Kwanza.
Benson Ngugi Njeri, advocate.
Yes.
You're saying he's also affiliated to Kenya Kwanza?
First of all,
why not?
When he says that, because remember, these persons are nominated by Law Society of Kenya. Law Society of Kenya has been on record, has taken the government to court on every decision the government has made. So you can't begin to say that Law Society is on the side of government.
Not every member of Law Society. They have been extremely independent.
Including stopping the appointment of CSS, stopping the appointment of PSS, many things. So I think Law Society has been independent. Unless he's now questioning. And remember, during the constitution-making process, this was when these laws were suggested. And who was at the forefront? Raila Odinga. Because his issue was, he was coming from the Moi era where he felt that the president then used to make decisions of everything. That's why he said, I want a judicial service commission. People fought for a judicial service commission to appoint judges. So it takes away from the president. As a selection, IEBC, we don't want the time of Kibaki where it was, there was the IPPG initially, then thereafter Kibaki single-handedly appointed all the commissioners in the run-up to 2007. People were moving away from that. Hence the reason why these laws are in the Constitution. Before you implement them, they are already saying, oh no, I think something wrong will happen. All we are asking is, Senator Daniel Maanzo, if you feel that a certain person has a certain political persuasion, legally you know how to go about that. How do you go about it? I look for the person's writings. I look for the person's statements. Like if you want to know my political persuasion, all you have to do is say, look at all my statements. When I speak on television, when I write in the newspapers, when I make statements in various press conferences, then you can bring that as evidence in your affidavit and say, she's quoted as saying this, which shows she has patent bias, and therefore is not suitable to be on the selection panel. Of course, I will be removed. You have to just give the evidence.
Let's be fair here.
They are not even giving the evidence. They are already saying, oh, something is wrong, but they refuse to give the evidence. Swear an affidavit. Set out the bias that exists in that particular candidate. They shall be removed.
Affidavit or no affidavit, affidavit or no affidavit, we are already back to a situation worse than the Moi situation. Because we have only one person controlling everything in relation to this. And that's why they cannot accept the IPPG model, which is fair to everybody.
It's not in law. IPPG model is not in law.
Deputy Speaker, just hold on. Senator, tell me, because we are talking about James Misati from the Progressive Party of Kenya. I understand, getting informed that PPK is not a member of any coalition. They remained neutral during the elections. But also, you're a member of the Law Society of Kenya.
Yes, I am.
How would you say that one of the advocates picked here is politically affiliated? And also tell me, Nelson Makanda, which coalition? Fatma Saman, which coalition?
What statements has he made publicly, or what conduct has he shown to reflect that he has a bias? Then we can remove him.
All those people shortlisted have, if you go into, if you search them and you know whatever they'll be doing, if you follow them in social media and all that, what they do, which is documented, you'll find they are already affiliated to one side. They are not affiliated
you're suspecting or you have the facts to support what you're saying?
You know, just as you have said, and the only way now you can bring it out is if you swear an affidavit, having gone through their whatever is in their social media or whatever political persuasion they are. Even if you are to do an interview on them, they will obviously tell you what their political persuasion is.
So you don't think the Law Society of Kenya should actually nominate someone to their...
No. In fact, I fought for Law Society of Kenya to remain because some people wanted it removed. It's one of the bodies likely to be partial. But each individual member of the Law Society of Kenya as a political person...
That's what I'm asking, because the law says Law Society of Kenya shall contribute on person. They pick on person, you're saying that they're affiliated to the Kenya Kwanza administration. So what do you want Kenyans to do?
Go back to the drawing board. This is a very sensitive matter. It was rushed. It has been forced in a certain way. It's got to go back to the drawing board. I mean, there was no proper public participation on this one. It was just rushed. It went through Parliament. Parliament sort of have now become a rubber stamp for the executive.
That is the amendment to the IEBC?
Yes, it was just a rubber stamp. I was on the floor of the House. The matter, you know, Senate was at a special sitting. There was really not what you call debate, or it was a matter which was just rushed through. Senate was a rubber stamp. It went to the president for signature. So you have to go back to the drawing board on this one.
On what strength? If the process of
Did you raise an
making
objection?
laws...
We did raise, and we did raise, and the speeches are there, what we stated in Parliament.
Okay.
Unless this one goes back to the drawing board, can never have free and fair elections.
Let's take a short break because we are due for one. We come back with that and much more. Stay tuned.